the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really sucking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York. Oh, the butcher and the baker and the people on the street.
Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, the Hut. And here we are again on a Saturday night. A Saturday night here live from New York City, the hellhole of New York City. Hopefully I survive, but here we are live and in color. And just talking about the Mets. Now, please like this video and, of course, subscribe and participate in the conversation. It's really just a one-way conversation, me talking. Basically sitting at home talking to myself. And then what the radio's like, just listen to somebody talking to themselves. And that's what I'm doing. We'll get into that in a minute, but we got the World Series going to be coming up on Tuesday. The Astros won last night. I think, what was it, 5-0? The Red Sox had nothing last night. Boy, they had nothing. Talk about no energy. It's like, what the hell happened? Well, I guess when you bang the cans up against the, you're banging the cans, you're going to win the games. Hello, Captain Obvious, Pat Cole, El Foul Player, and Kevin Rodan. Hi, how are you? So here we are back in New York City, and we're going to get into the Mets a little bit, obviously. And a big name popped up in the last day or so for the Mets GM. Hello, Robert Simeone. A big name with the Mets general managership has popped up, and that's Brian Sabean. He's very interested in being the Mets' new general manager. Hopefully the Mets call him, talk to him. He's been around for a long time. He's 65 years old. Obviously, he's the general manager of those great Giants teams that won in 2010, 2012, and 2014. Developed guys like Madison Bumgarner, Buster Posey, and Matt Cain, and a whole bunch of other players. And I would point out that he got his start here in New York with the New York Yankees. He was a assistant general manager, I guess, under I think Stick Michael. So he's been around a long time, and he's a very talented guy. And hoping the Mets talk to him. You got to talk to him, and he is very interested in the job. You know what you get with him, and the Mets need somebody obviously. See somebody obviously stable in terms of stability. Sort of the big rumors going around that the Major League Baseball doesn't like the Mets. And obviously, we all know the media hate the Mets. But there's sort of this rumor that the Major League Baseball is not too keen on Steve Cohen, and because he has so much money buying the Mets, they think that he's going to blow up the payrolls and stuff. Uh, but Billy Bean came out the other day and said, because I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I'd gotten word that Billy wasn't going to be the Mets general manager. He wasn't going to take the job because he wanted to stay in California with his family. They didn't want to move, but he said it's a great job and a great opportunity, and people would be crazy not to do it. So I think that hopefully that calms down things a little bit. But Saving is the number one candidate in my view. Now we'll go run through a couple of names here that are still out there. Obviously, Theo Epstein, he's out. He wants to be an owner, I guess. Billy Bean, he's out. He wants to stay with his family. I think if he didn't have family considerations, he'd be here. He would have been here. David Stearns, Mets didn't get permission from the Brewers to talk to him. I didn't think he was coming here. So that's sort of out of the window. Josh Burns, we'll find out tonight if the Braves beat the Dodgers tonight. That could be a very interesting game to watch. That's why I came on now. I don't want to compete against the game. The Dodgers beat the Braves last year in the NLCS. They were down 3-1, and they came back and won that series. And as you know, the Braves have sort of a weird history in the postseason, aside from what they've done to the Mets in the past. Their history's a little checkered. They've blown a lot of games. They've blown a lot of series in a short amount of time. So this could be another situation. They could blow it tonight. If they lose tonight, if the Braves lose tonight, they're going to lose the series. Okay, they can't allow the Dodgers to tie the series up, especially since the Dodgers beat them last year. And Scherzer's pitching tomorrow night, from the rumor. He was supposed to pitch tonight, but he says he's not ready. Obviously they did not pitch last year, and these guys are very much stretched out, especially the older guys. But if the Braves lose tonight, the Dodgers have a good chance of winning the series tomorrow night. So Josh Burns is one of these guys. Brandon Gomes, another guy that works for the Dodgers, a guy to keep an eye on with the GM position. Michael Hill, who I've been a big supporter of. It doesn't seem like, at least from last week, that the Mets are talking to Michael Hill. That's too bad. Now I don't know what's happened since then. It's been very quiet here in terms of the different names. You've heard the thing about Billy coming out and support for Alderson, wanting to work with him again, but not doing the job. But I haven't heard anything since then about Michael Hill. A couple other names. Mike Chernoff, whose father used to be the program director at WFAN. I'm not too optimistic he'll be here. Matt Arnold, I don't know who he is. He's from the Brewers. Scott Harris, I don't know who he is either. He's from the Giants. I'm not going to tell you who some of these guys are if I don't know who they are. Obviously, there are guys they have a track record. Epstein, Bean, Stearns, Josh Burns. He was the general manager with the Diamondbacks. These guys all have track records. Michael Hill has a track record. But guys like Mike Chernoff has a record. But guys like Gomes and Arnold and Harris, these guys don't have any kind of track record. I don't know them. I couldn't tell you if they were any good. Another name that's popped up, but I haven't heard much connected with the Mets, is Tad Levine of the Twins. He's got a track record. It's been sort of shaky. Good 1 year, bad another year. A name that has sort of been mentioned here and there is Jeff Luhnow. I've heard he's not getting. I've heard they hate him. Major League Baseball hates him, and it has nothing to do with the whole thing with the scandal with the Astros. It seems like he was one of the most despised people in the game prior to that. So the Mets going to talk to him does not make a whole heck of a lot of sense, quite frankly. And I think that is somebody just throw his name out the window. That is not a name we're going to hear about. That's not a name we're going to hear. But Brian Sabian is the new name, is the hot name, and he's probably the most successful of all these guys, other than probably Theo Epstein. So that's a name to keep an eye on. And I would say he's probably a Hall of Fame general manager. I did a video on him actually on the Baseball Hut 2. And you need to subscribe to the Baseball Hut too, because there's a lot of different content on there that's a little bit separate from this. I kind of keep it a little bit free flowing to a certain degree. But if you want to go check that out, please check it out and subscribe. Of course, we'll get that channel. The channel's moving pretty good. But going back to the Astros real quickly, I noticed that with the Astros winning, Dusty Baker is getting another shot at winning the World Series. That guy has got. He should have. First of all, he should have won in 2002. He had so many good Giant teams those years. For 10 years, he had such good Giant teams. They never won. He goes to the Cubs. He was the manager that the Bartman game. He was the manager with the Reds, with those really good Reds teams. He was there with the Nationals, with those good national teams. They didn't win. They fired him. It was like a shock. When the Nationals hired Dusty, I guess in 2016, I was like, boy, the Mets aren't going to win the division. And sure enough, they didn't. And for 2 years, the Nationals just wiped the floor with the Mets, and they fired him. It never made any sense. It never made any sense why that happened. And then Dusty sort of was sitting around for all these years. And luckily, he's not in the division. But I was really hoping that the Mets could have made him manager last year, but that didn't happen. But we'll see who the next general manager and president. Now, they have till November 7th. That's the GM meetings. November 7th is the GM meetings. Mets have to have somebody in place by then. So they're talking about, what, 3 weeks from now? 3 weeks from today, I think. Or 2 weeks from today. The Mets got to shake a leg here. This is crazy. All right, let's get to the managers. We're going to get to the managers. There have been a lot of names being bandied about. We'll go through the top names, obviously. And that'll be interesting. So here we go. A couple of names mentioned. Buck Showalter, who I'm in favor of. Check. Bob Melvin, I'm not in favor of. Bob Melvin has got an odd record in that, in my opinion, he's been on a small market. He's not won anything other than a lot of regular season games. But the thing is that I like to see him do it in a big market. He's not done that. John Gibbons, not a bad candidate. I'm just going to go through the list that I have here. Walt Weiss, his name's been mentioned, but I'm not too big on him because he didn't do a great job in Colorado, and he has no connection. No connection to the Mets, and I would not feel comfortable with him or a connection with New York. Chip Hale, the former manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks. He was up for the job with the Mets back in 2010 before Terry Collins got the job. He was a candidate. Ron Ventura, who's not been a manager for the last 4 or 5 years. So that's a name that, but he played in New York, but his record not great as a manager, quite frankly. Ron Washington, who's with the Braves as the third base coach, and he's been mentioned with the Padres as well as the former manager of the Cardinals, Mike Stiller. I had a shock that he got fired. I guess it's sort of like a difference of opinion on where to go with the ball club. So he's gone, and I know the Padres are in heavily with him. I'm not a big fan of him. I don't think St. Louis really cared for him. I think the town didn't like him. A name that's an interesting name that has no managerial experience, who's going to get there's only 3 jobs that are available. Interestingly enough, The Mets, the Padres, and the Cardinals, all great opportunities for any manager. The Mets, they got the big owner. Now they have the wherewithal. The Cardinals, obviously the Cardinals, and we got the Padres with this young talent that they have out there with a very ambitious general manager. But Joe McEwen is the guy that with no experience here. That is probably the big non-experienced candidate here. Now I mentioned Carlos Beltran, who I've done videos on. He should get another chance to get into Major League Baseball. Still, a reason why he shouldn't be in Major League Baseball. A guy like Alex Cora, who was a scrub player, and Carlos was a Hall of Fame player, isn't in the game, and he didn't. They didn't like. It's just silly, and he didn't get suspended. He just lost his Mets job. They shouldn't have fired him, as it turned out, because Louis was not a good manager. He wasn't ready. Now maybe Louis would be a good manager someday, but not right now. That's for sure. Now please like this video if you haven't already. The chat's very quiet right now. Guess everybody's listening. I'll mention him. Edgardo Alfonso. Mets should find a way to get him back into the organization as a manager in the minor leagues, or have him as a coach. He should be back with the Mets. Clint Hurdle, whose name sort of bounced around here and there. I don't know if he wants to come back and manage, but that's a name to keep an eye on. John Farrell, the 2013 Red Sox manager who was there for the World Series. A name that's been mentioned was Todd Zeile, obviously the Mets analyst and I guess a bit of a play-by-play guy. I don't know about him. I don't know if we want to get a guy that has no experience, but the big name that is out there, and if Brian Sabian will be made the general manager, is Bruce Bochy. Guy's got 3 World Series under his belt. He's a Hall of Fame manager. He's been successful. He's been to 4 World Series. He's a very successful guy, and he did play here with the Mets many, many, many moons ago, before I never remember. But he's, in my view, would be the top candidate here, along with Buck Showalter. So that's the rundown. That is the rundown of the Mets front office and the rundown in the Mets managerial candidates. Now, I would point out that we're going to have more stuff. There'll probably be 1 or 2 other names popping up over the next week or 2 or 3. As you know, the World Series will be starting on Tuesday. And once we get through the World Series, then it's really going to start to pick up steam. Like I said, we have the general managers meetings coming up in the next 2 weeks. And we're going to see that the Mets have a general manager in place. Now, there was talk over the last couple of days that the Mets would be willing to name a manager before a general manager. I don't know if that's a good idea, quite frankly. That might not be a good idea in my view. That's for damn sure. All right. Here's some name to be determined. Is there any news on that, on the front office moves, or is the only thing Saban's interested in the job right now? Well, you just answered your own question. You answered your own question. You answered your own question. There you go. You got to, to be honest with you, we're all reading the same things. Everything I talk about here is stuff that we've all read. There's nothing here that, I'm not breaking any news here. Other than about Billy Bean, I said about 2 weeks ago. There's really not a lot going on. Because, we got the postseason. We might hear some things on Monday. Because obviously, see if the Braves win tonight, things will start to pick up again with the Mets front office and with something tomorrow into Tuesday, tomorrow into Monday. There won't be any news Tuesday and Wednesday because they're going to be having the World Series. So it'll be in these days between where there are no games that you'll hear the news. Okay, that's a guarantee. That I can guarantee you with what's going on. Now I'm going to go through some of the names, or really most of the names, the top 25 free agents this offseason, and we'll see where the Mets stack up in terms of some of these people, some of these guys. So now, please like the video if you haven't already, and subscribe to the Baseball Hut. This is from Anthony Tacoma. We're just going to skip through the names. It's not going to be a very long live stream because I'm actually kind of tired today, and I got stuff to do that I have to do after this. So, and the game for the Game 6 of the NLCS is coming up. Let's go through some of the names. Let's see. All right. Carlos Correa. Now, he's got a qualifying offer attached to him. Where is he going to go? I can see him going to the Yankees. I don't see him going to the Mets. I could see him going to the Yankees. Or I could see him going to the Tigers. John Heyman mentioned the other day that he could see him going there. So those are two teams. Plus I think the Tigers are getting ready to come out of the abyss. That abyss, that dark hole in Detroit. Corey Seager. John Heyman mentioned the Yankees. The Yankees are going to be in on all these shortstops. And Seager seems to be the one guy that they could probably use because he's left-handed. The Yankees, boy, they're a mess. That lineup is just not as bad as the Mets lineup, but they need to do some work. The Met lineup again. Somebody wrote to me this morning saying that basically bringing in Castellanos is all the moves they need to make. They could DH. No. The whole lineup needs to be changed. Other than Pete Lindor and Nimmo, the whole entire team has to change. Maybe I can keep one guy there with McNeil because McNeil's been a 300 hitter. But the rest of them have to go. Simple as that. Nothing more simpler than that. Kris Bryant, no qualifying offer. No qualifying offer. So these teams are going to be hard on him. The Mets are going to be very much in on Kris Bryant. I'm not just saying that because I want the clicks. That is the truth. They tried very hard to get him in the offseason last year. The trade didn't go down last year offseason. They tried to get him in a package with Baez and Trevor Williams. That was the rumor. They tried to get him very, 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 very. They really tried to get him, on the Mets, and they couldn't make the deal happen. Instead, he went to the Giants. But they were going to make a really big trade with the Cubs that had Bryant and Baez together. So now Bryant is out there. There's no attached qualifying offer to him. You bring him in here. You just got to give him money. The only thing he's got the age of Boris. And the Mets don't have a very good relationship with Boris. And they got a little bit worse with Kumaraka. Number 4. Let's see who number 4 is. Max Scherzer. He's not coming to any New York team. He doesn't want to come to the Mets. He doesn't want to go to the Yankees. I could see him staying in Los Angeles. Let's see who number 5 is. Number 5, Trevor Story. Be interesting to see where he goes. I could see him maybe going to the Cardinals. Who knows? But he has a qualifying offer attached to him. He did not have a good year. He did not have a good year. I could see him maybe taking actually 1-year deal with some team and getting his value up again. I could see him doing that. And speaking of which, Marcus Semien, who owns the all-time home run record for second baseman. He broke the record of Davey Johnson. But he is a guy that's going to be getting a lot of offers. But he has a qualifying offer. Would the Mets give him an offer? I don't know. Not at his age. Maybe he was a little bit younger. The Mets need to spread the money around. They need to make smart trades. They need to be very smart with what they do. Robbie Ray, where's he going to go? I can see the Mets being in on him, but he's a qualifying offer. The Mets are going to lose Michael Conforto, I think, in all likelihood. So they will have the number 11 pick for Kuma Rocker, and hopefully some good team will pick up Conforto. They'll have a pick for that. So if they lose their 14th pick by picking up a guy like, say, Robbie Ray, obviously the Mets need pitching. Is Robbie Ray better than Marcus Stroman? I don't know yet. Here's Javier Baez. I could see him coming back to the Mets. I could see him going pretty much anywhere. The Mets, go back to the Cubs, maybe the Tigers, you know, the Yankees. Although he doesn't really fit well with the Yankees because they're very right-handed. They need a left-handed shortstop. That's why Corey Seager's a better fit. Freddie Freeman, he's staying in Atlanta. That's an obvious thing. That's an extremely, extremely obvious thing. Um, very, very much. Hey, Metsnick's boy, where have you been, man? Where have you been? Where, they let you out of prison? They let you out of the can? They let you out of the can, man? And where's William? You think William would have been here? He's been complaining about no live stream. Freddie Freeman, I think he'll stay with Atlanta. Kevin Gausman, keep an eye on him. A lot of teams are going to be in on him. There's no qualifying offer. He's a qualifying offer last year. Had a very good year. Starling Marte. You'll hear the Mets with him because Sandy Alderson's liked him for a long time. But he's 33. He's older. And he's coming from the A's. The A's used them all up. You got to be careful. Nick Castellanos. Now, this is a guy, he's got 2 years left on his contract with the Reds. He's going to get a lot of teams talking to him. The Mets, probably the Red Sox. Quite a few teams. But he's got that pick attached to him. I don't know if you want to give that up to him. Kyle Schwarber. No qualifying offer. I can see the Yankees going after him. The rumor was that he was going to go to the Yankees before the trade deadline. I think the Mets should go after him. They need a left-handed bat that's got power, and he's a better home run hitter and a better hitter than Mike Conforto. He scares me. Conforto doesn't scare me, and he can hit big pitching. So this is a different kind of guy, and you just put him in left field. You DH him. Let's have a big situation here with the Cano. Obviously, Robbie Cano here. That's going to have to figure out how to, people have been complaining. The guy that wrote to me this morning, doesn't mention Robbie Cano. He's going to be the primary DH here if he's sticking around. Carlos Rodon. I don't know where he's going. Couldn't tell you. I'm sure the Mets will be talking to him. I'm sure the White Sox will want to keep him. Justin Verlander. I think he's staying in Houston. He's got a qualifying offer. He didn't pitch last year. I wouldn't touch him. I don't think he's going to get too many offers. If he is, it's going to be from some team that's desperate for pitching. Probably like the Yankees that don't care about their draft picks. Mets can't give up any draft picks. Let's see who's next. Clayton Kershaw. They was saying I was seeing him maybe go because he's from Texas. I could see him going to Texas. I don't know. It's either going to be with the he's going to stay with the Dodgers or he's going to go to Texas, I think. But he's got a qualifying offer. Is he good enough? Is he good enough? Is he good anymore? I don't know. JD Martinez. He's got a qualifying offer at 34 years old. That's a lot. He's another one opting out. I don't know. You got to be careful with him. I don't know how much he has left. Michael Conforto. Some team's going to pick him up and give him a big contract. The Mets shouldn't. Mets should stay away from him. Nice guy. He's not Darryl Strawberry. That's a damn sure. Brandon Belt. Well, the Mets don't need him. I don't know where he's going. I can see him maybe going to the Yankees. Maybe. Who did I miss? Nelson Cruz. Ha! The real Nelson Cruz. He's a DH. Well, with the National League having the DH, he can go anywhere at this point. And number 25. Who's number 25? I missed number 25. Nelson Cruz, that's 24. Now, please like this video if you haven't already and subscribe. Rocio Iglesias. Ugh. That's number 25. This guy's a defensive guy. Oh, he's a reliever. I'm going to point something out. You don't sign a reliever. You got to be very careful with these relievers. Now, a guy that's going to be a free agent next offseason is our buddy Edwin Diaz. I know there's going to be a lot of talk about it. I don't see the Mets trading him in the offseason because, first of all, relievers are a dime a dozen in terms of they're good one year and bad the next. And I just don't see the Mets moving him. I think they'll convince themselves that he's good. So I don't see them moving him, quite frankly. Um, Interesting on this list, they don't mention Marcus Stroman on here, interestingly enough. But Marcus Stroman, I've heard the Padres, I've heard the Mets, I've heard the Cubs, and he's got no qualifying offer attached to him. I don't know if I of the Mets if I would bring him back. I don't know yet. I have to be convinced. He had a good year. He stayed healthy. Led the league in games pitched, games started. I need to be convinced that Marcus can do it. Oh, in a 4 or 5 year contract. I'm not convinced. And he's a small guy. He's not a big guy, but he's in great shape. So you know, he's an interesting guy. I don't know long term if he's what I want here because he's sort of, a bit of a diva. You know, it wasn't a great clubhouse. I mean, let's be honest. The Mets had a lousy clubhouse, and I'm not blaming him per se. You know, but it was a clubhouse that was in disarray. Obviously, there's no David Wrights in that clubhouse. There's no Mike Kadires in that clubhouse. There's no Robin Ventura in that clubhouse. You're not getting any leadership from the manager's office. So, I mean, what kind of, that this is not a clubhouse that really needs to be kept together. I mean, that's why I'm very much wanting to see the Mets do a overhaul like we've not seen here in a long time. Just with the everyday lineup, this was not a good lineup. When you're that bad with Burns in scoring position, when you're that bad in terms of scoring runs, it's the players, and the players need to change. But also the whole philosophy up and down the line with the Mets that they need to sort of take into account that they have to make major changes throughout the whole organization. That's why a guy like Brian Sabian would fit in really well here because he has the gravitas to make changes that maybe a younger guy would not be able to make. Like, say, a guy like Brandon Gomes. Or even a guy like Josh Burns. He might not be able to make the kind of changes that he'd like to make if he came in here to run the team. So Sabian would come in here with all this, this great history to wanting to come in here and do great things with the Mets, and Alderson would not get in his way. From what I understand, Alderson did not get in the way of Zack Scott in terms of what he was doing with the ball club. I will say this about Zack Scott. We know the problem that he had. He was drinking and driving, but he really called the players out. I mean, he was really tough on the players this season. He said it like it was. He said that this team was not playing well. He said that they played mediocre baseball most of the season. He said that in August before he got himself in trouble with the law. And he was right. That doesn't change the fact that he was right when he said that. That the level of play was horrific, and that they were mediocre most of the year. And that was about 2-3 weeks before he got in trouble. So the Mets aren't under any illusions that they're this great ball club. This team needs a lot of work, and it needs a lot of work from top to bottom. And and from what I understand that he also pushed to bring in Baez. Now Baez, I would mention that the Met record was not very good with Baez here. If the Mets sign him, great. If the Mets don't sign him, I'm not going to be shedding any tears. I mean that's my own feeling on it. They sign him, great. They don't sign him, great. He is a high energy player. He's not afraid of New York. But do I really want to sign him to a $300 million contract on the infield? That's a lot of money for two guys. For a team that went 77 and 85, that's a lot of money for a mediocre team, for a bad team. And the Mets have question marks. Even beyond the starting lineup, what's going on with Jacob deGrom? Obviously, don't have a manager right now. They really don't have no coaching staff. So this is Cohen came in. He kept some of these people, But obviously, these people are mediocre. Now, not to be mean, but Louis Rojas was a loser. You know, nice guy, but he's a loser. I said this before. They have to get rid of some of these people in the front office and the organization that if you view them, are they going to do whatever they got to do to win? Can they do whatever they need to do to win? If they can't, goodbye. You're fired. Goodbye. Louis Rojas was one of these people. There were times during the season, the first season when he was here last year. Um, last year, the first month, the Mets had zero energy in August. Okay, zero energy. And it got so bad they had to make the trade for Todd Frazier. They had to bring Todd Frazier back. So they brought Todd Frazier back to give them a little energy. So that also told you there was no leadership in the clubhouse last year. So now Jeff McNeil said, I've been here 3 or 4 years. We've never had any leadership in this clubhouse. You know, I haven't had a leader on this team since I've been here. So there were very troubling signs. We all followed it. We all talked about it. I'm very patient. Like I said that. The Mets were in first place on May 31st on Memorial Day. At the 40 games, they're in first place. The 4th of July, All-Star break. But there were a lot of issues here. They weren't hitting. Obviously, Jacob deGrom got hurt on July 7th. We had right before the All-Star break, Edwin Diaz blew that game against the Pirates. They come back from the All-Star break that Saturday, and again, Edwin Diaz blows up, in Pittsburgh. How many times is this like a thing with the middle relievers and relievers in general from South America, Central and South America, and the Caribbean? That whenever ball goes up in the air, they point up, and balls that go out of the ballpark. Are they like pointing to God, hoping God brings the ball down, knocks the ball down? Because Hansel Robles does the same thing. Edwin Diaz does the same thing. That ball goes up in the air. When everybody knows in the ballpark it's going out, he points up in the air. Why are you doing that? You're begging God to bring it down? I mean, but the Mets, that was really to me was the turning point right there and that. Right then and there when they played so lousy, so poorly against the Pirates. I knew the Mets were in trouble right then and there. Because they should have wiped the floor with the Pirates. They should have won this division running away. And they let the Braves stick around all season, and they let the Phillies stick around all season. The Mets had every opportunity to bury them, and they didn't do it. They had a chance to have long winning streaks. They didn't do it. They didn't hit. They looked like they didn't care. They really looked very immature a lot of times. Yeah, okay. Yeah, never heard of a joke. Now we're gonna go down this road. Bye bye. And anyone that isn't that, believe me, I'm not. Just wanted to point out a joke. But the thing is that when the ball goes, it's so stupid. People are so sensitive. It's ridiculous. But the thing is, what's my train of thought? Anyone that watched this team knew that they weren't very good. If you watched them every single day, you knew they weren't that good. But I kept saying, look, let's see how this goes. They were still in first place, but once they played poorly against the Pirates, that was a troubling sign. And they let the Braves stick around. They let the Phillies stick around, and here we are. Yeah, it was just a joke, for God's sake. If you don't like it, get the hell out of here. Simple as that. I don't care. I'm canceled. It doesn't matter. You can't allow yourself to be canceled unless you want to be canceled. Okay. I didn't know that what pointing up to God was a racist thing. I just said, if you see any white players doing that? No. You see any black players doing that? No. You shouldn't say that. This is not. I'm not even being Dave Chappelle at this point. He probably does that when he walks across the street. Omar, please. Might be a comic skater. You never know. But right, that's true. I don't hate or dislike anybody. But the point being, this team has a lousy everyday lineup. They asked these guys that were bench players like Jonathan Villar, Jose Peraza, Kevin Pillar to do more than they could. These guys played well until they started to have to play every day. And once that happened, this offense could not hold up to what was needed. Dom Smith was a disaster. But I said before the season last year that Dom was not a good player. Nobody listened to me. And people say, well, you shouldn't say, you know everything. Look, I've been watching the game a long time. I love the game. I know the Mets. I know these players. Dom Smith has shown to me that he's not a good hitter. And he got very chunky at the end of this season. All right. So his weight was becoming an issue again. All right. I was not fooled by the 60 games. I said that Dom had the kind of swing that over a short period of time, he would be a very good player. But over the course of 160 games, 162 games, he was not going to be doing, he wasn't going to do well. And he did. And he showed it. He proved it again to me. All right. JD Davis, if you look at his numbers, if you looked at his numbers, they look good. But then when you watch him, he doesn't get any big hits. He doesn't get any big hits. He came back from the disabled list a day after the All-Star break, and the guy had one big game, 2 home runs that Saturday night. He didn't do anything for the rest of the season. Now, he did have hand surgery, but I'm sorry. See, first of all, here's the thing. I guess he tore ligaments in his thumb. When are the Mets going to learn from the past? A few years ago, remember Juan Lagares? He hurt his thumb. He hurt the ligaments in his thumb. I thought to myself, it's a 6-week injury. You get the surgery back in 6 weeks. They did the same thing with JD Davis. And the reason I bring that up is because Darryl Strawberry had that back in 1985. He tore ligaments in his thumb. He got surgery. He was back in 6 weeks. They didn't let it linger. He didn't play the whole season injured. He got the surgery. He was back in 6 weeks. If JD Davis had torn ligaments in his thumb, he should have gotten it taken care of right away. He would have missed 6 weeks, and he would have been playing every day. But again, his numbers lied about how he played, because how he looked and how the numbers were, two totally different stories. All right. Jeff McNeil. I don't know what the hell happened to Jeff McNeil, but he might be the one guy that can stick because he's got a 300 batting average. Yeah, okay. I'm reading this. Mets Nick Sport. Correa and Lindor Baez spotted 116th Street eating Coochie Frito with Steve Cohen. Sugar Diaz was in the middle of the street pointing in the air. The Ganos were so good. Touche. It's good to see you're out of the can, Bori. I can tell you that. The guy hadn't been around. Where you been, man? You haven't been around since during the season. Were you hanging out with William? Although William's not here. I do a live stream. He's not here. He'll probably write to me after I missed it. But so on Monday, we'll be back here. I'll be back here for the baseball at 2. We'll have a live stream for that on Monday. And like I said, hopefully we'll have some news. We'll have some news when it comes to the front office. Brian Sabian's very interested. Hopefully the Mets talk to him. They have to get somebody in here by November 7th. That's the beginning of the GMEs. Now, Tuesday and Wednesday, the World Series starts. I guess, and well, we'll see where it's going to start. I don't even know yet. Probably, I would think in Houston. I would think because Houston has I think, the better record than the Braves do. And I don't think the Dodgers get it because they with the wild card team. But uh, we'll have everything resolved either tonight or tomorrow with the National League. I would assume the Braves will win tonight, but if the Braves don't win tonight, they're going to lose the series because, like I said earlier, uh, the Dodgers had the Braves number when it comes to winning, as they beat them last year after being down 3-1. Aaron Gandia, question: do you think the Mets will try to get bullpen arms? Well, they need to re-sign Aaron Loop. That is the big priority for the offseason for the bullpen. The bullpen was actually very good this year, aside from some of Diaz's antics, and then you're right close to 4. He didn't have a great year, but it was much better than 2 years ago. He didn't give up as many home runs, but he gave up big hits and and walks and constantly hitting batters. But um, yeah, but the Mets really have to. The bullpen is fine, I think. Really, the problem, like I said, is the offense. They have to find players that can hit and hit with men on base and do a better job of scoring runs. And they definitely need starting pitching. Number one priority is scoring runs and getting a couple of starters in here. Robbie Reyes are probably on that list. Uh, Resigning Marcus Stroman might be a priority. If he walks, I'm not going to cry over it. Yeah, Jerry's Familia will not be back. Uh, I'm sure they told him that he wasn't coming back because he put out a little statement before the season ended. Uh, um, but obviously, and I would mention this, and I'm not going to forget, the Mets have big prospects in their minor league system. They have Mark Vientos, and they have, in particular, Brett Beatty. Beatty, from Jim Duquette, he considers him an untouchable piece. He said he's similar to David Wright and Jose Reyes, and Alvarez as well, Francisco Alvarez. So if Beatty is considered this big prospect, this untouchable, then there's no reason for the Mets to bring in a big third baseman that's just going to play third base every day. If you bring in a guy like Kris Bryant, you could play Bryant around. You could play him at third a little bit. You could play him obviously he's a good outfielder. He's a good center fielder. Maybe put him in right, put him in center, put him in left, put him in second, I guess. So Beatty is a big piece for the Mets going forward because they love his approach. He's got a great approach. From what I understand, he's a very good breaking ball hitter. He's a guy that is the future of the Mets at third. Someone wrote to me a little while ago telling me the Mets should bring in Jose Ramirez. And I'm like, well, it's going to cost the Mets a guy like Alvarez. And the guy's like, well, the Mets have a good farm system. No, they do not. The Mets do not have a good farm system. They have 3 or 4 big prospects, and after that, it's not a lot. And they did not have a good draft last season. So they need to sort of, cultivate these pieces they have, and they can't move anybody now. And Alvarez, Beatty, Vientos, and Mauricio, they cannot move now. They have to keep them. And they have to stay. They have to stick. So these are guys that cannot be moved now. So that's really... And Vientos learned left field. He's a right-handed bat. His approach, and he's got big power. He hit 25 home runs in the minor leagues with 300 at bats. He hit really well in Double A. They sent him to Triple A. He holds his own. Beatty, back to him a minute, went in the Arizona Fall League. The first week that they played games, he was the Player of the Week. So these guys are very impressive. So the Mets just can't bring in pieces and say, all right, you're going to play here. No, they can't. You need this third's going to have to be a bit of a revolving door over the next year or so, because just to keep it warm for Beatty, because that's why Cano is important. Cano's got to learn how to play third, I think, a little bit, and they bring in Bryant. He's got to play third a little bit. You play him in the outfield, like I said. McNeil's not a third baseman, and in fact, I don't even know if McNeil's an everyday second baseman. McNeil might be a guy you can play around. I think probably that might be the best thing for him, is to play him around at this point in his career. But like I said, I'll be back on Monday doing a live stream on Monday on the Baseball Hut 2. We'll have videos up on this channel and on the other channel. I've been very busy here, so I've been very quiet, other than on Twitter complaining at the comic book hut. Complaining. This is basically what it is. Complaining. I've been very, very quiet in terms of my videos. So me doing a live stream is right now is take it what you want with it. You know. So me doing a live stream now is important for this channel. So like I said, every Saturday I'm going to do a live stream here. Now next week will be interesting. I'm going to be out during the day, see what time I get home. I don't want to be on during the World Series. That's the one thing I will point out. Now, who's going to win the World Series? That's a good question. Not that anybody asked me yet. But Houston's in it. Now, if they go up against the Braves, I think they'll probably beat the Braves. If it's the Dodgers have a bit of a chip on their shoulder from what happened 3 years ago or 4 years ago. I don't know. That's a bit of a toss-up. That might go 7 games. But we'll see over the next few hours. He didn't get suspended. Get out of here. All right. Well, I want to thank you all for coming by. And I want to thank you all. And please subscribe to the Baseball Hut. And I'll be back on Monday. And hopefully we'll have some news on the front office. Like I said, there isn't a lot of news during these games because baseball doesn't like any big stories happening during the time the games are played those days. So Monday could be a big day. Thursday could be a big day. And every day is a really big day now with the postseason. But I want to thank you all for coming by. Please subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Thank you all for the great comments in the chat. Thank you, and I'll see you later.